So free agency technically starts today at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'm sure teams have already tampered with players and they know where they're going already. But today I'm going to be giving you my 2020 free agency predictions. So it's not as good of a free agency as last year's free agency class or even next year's, but there is still some good players that could possibly switch teams. I am recording this at 7:40 on November 19th. You guys will be seeing this on the 20th, so I'm hoping nothing happens between now and when I upload this. If not, you'll get a disclaimer. But yeah, if you guys are enjoying the videos, please drop a thumbs up and also subscribe if you are new. We are dropping video after video about the draft, free agency, 2K rebuilds, stuff like that. So I'm hoping you can join the ride as well. And without further ado, let's get into my predictions. So first up, we have SERGE IBAKA, and I'm predicting him to re-sign with the Raptors on a one-year deal. Now, only 7 teams pretty much have any bit of cap space going into free agency. And I think SERGE IBAKA and his camp kind of realized that there might be a bigger market for him in 2021 when a lot of teams have more cap space to spend. So I think he's just going to re-up with the Raptors on a one-year deal, possibly just be their starting center next year with Marc Gasol most likely leaving. And that's why I have him re-signing with the Raptors. Next up, we have BERTANS. I also have him re-signing with the Washington Wizards. So there's a chance BERTANS could possibly leave them, but I don't see any team with major cap space like the Pistons, the Knicks, the Hawks, or the Kings really making a play for BERTANS. That's why I think the Wizards will restrain his bird rights. They'll sign him. They'll go over the cap, even though they're probably already over the cap, to bring him back to be their starting power forward, or at least their main power forward going into the 2021 season. Next up, we have another player that I think will re-sign, and that is Carmelo Anthony with the Portland Trailblazers. I don't think his market is really that big outside of Portland, and he might be able to get the most money with Portland. They will have his bird rights, so maybe they can get him on a one-year deal for a little bit more friendly towards Carmelo Anthony. Like maybe they can give him $8 million a year, and other teams might only offer him $4 million a year. So I think Melo will stay with the Blazers. He really appreciates that they took a shot on him this past season. He's definitely a player that you want to give a contract and give minutes to, and that's why I think the Blazers will look to re-sign Carmelo Anthony to give them a scoring output off the bench next year. Now we have our first free agent that I'm predicting will switch teams. I have DANILO GALLINARI going to the Dallas Mavericks, either just straight up signing with Dallas or in a sign-in trade. Now I don't know how big this contract will be because I think Dallas is still looking to make a play in 2021. That's kind of why they traded Curry for Josh Richardson, mainly for defensive purposes, but Richardson is going to be a free agent next year. He's going to decline his player option, and they'll have cap space as Seth Curry's under contract for a couple more years. So that's why I'm a little hesitant to see if Gallo will go to the Mavericks. It could be a sign and trade. They might ask them to take on like Dwight Powell's contract or Maxi Kleber as well in return, but I just see Gallo going to that Mavericks team, being that great spot-up shooter for Luka off the dribble. Because if you're Luka Doncic, you got the ball in your hands, and you could just kick it to the corner to either Maxi Kleber in one corner, DANILO GALLINARI in the other, or Kristaps in one corner. That's pretty nice, and I think the Mavericks front office want to utilize Luka as much as they can. I think they're going to give them a good spot-up shooter, and I'm predicting that to be DANILO GALLINARI. Next up, we have Derrick Favors, and I'm predicting him to sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. I think that they're going to use their mid-level exception on Derrick Favors. It's about $9 million a year, and I think that'd be pretty good for Favors as he, I would think, wants to contend as he's getting older in his career. The Sixers are going to be good next year. They could use a solid backup big man now that Al Horford is gone. And I could definitely see them giving him a one-year deal using the whole mid-level exception on Derrick Favors. Why not? They're already a pretty deep roster already. You got Simmons, you got Maxey, you got Embiid, Harris, Thibault, Seth Curry, Danny Green, Mike Scott. Why not get another good player and a good backup center in Derrick Favors? We have a restricted free agent here. I'm predicting Malik Beasley to sign with the Timberwolves. I did see a report that Malik Beasley kind of wants to play on a coast, either one of the LA teams, a New York team. I'm guessing he would be okay with playing in like Charlotte or something, because I guess they're bordering a coast. But I don't know what he wants to do. I'm thinking the Timberwolves will match whatever deal he gets, because I don't see a team throwing $18 million at Malik Beasley, but I think he could get like between $12 to $14 million, and I think the Timberwolves will go out of their way to bring him back, depending on his legal issues, but I think, or it's looking like they're going to get resolved by the season starting, so I'm predicting Malik Beasley to stay with Minnesota. Next up, we're going to the South Beach here. We have Goran Dragic. I'm predicting him to re-sign with the Miami Heat on a one-year deal, a nice deal for both sides, because I think they're going to use their cap space. They actually do have a little bit of cap space at the moment. I think it's around $17 million going into Friday night, but I think they're going to use most of that on bringing Dragic back while still having an open cap sheet for 2021. They still want to go after very honest, depending on if he re-signs with the Milwaukee Bucks or any other big free agent that could be there in 2021 as well. Maybe it's Kawhi or Paul George, who knows? But I think Miami still has their eyes targeted on 2021. So I think they'll bring back Dragic, but on a one-year deal. Going over to LA here, I think that the Clippers will re-sign Marcus Morris. They do have his bird rights, so I think they will go over the cap to bring him back as a good scoring wing off the bench. This one was pretty interesting. Christian Wood of the Detroit Pistons. I'm going to predict that he's going to stay in Detroit. He was a tricky one because he said on Instagram Live like a couple weeks ago, like asking people where he should play next. But I just don't see a team that has a lot of cap space like the Knicks, Hawks, Pistons, well, the Pistons, but like talking about the Knicks or the Hawks and the Kings, I don't see those three teams really going after Christian Wood. So I think he's going to stay in Detroit. I don't see it being a one-year deal. I think they can lock him up on a 3 to 4 year contract. Here is another big switch, joining Danilo Gallinari in my predictions. I have Montrezl signing with the Charlotte Hornets. Yeah. So this is a pretty big one. I think we all know that Charlotte needs a center as they didn't get one in the draft. I think this could be big for LA because they could use this in a sign and trade. Maybe it's a Terry Rozier for Montrezl sign and trade so they can clear up some cap, because I think with Zeller, Batum, Rozier on their books, it's kind of hard for them to create that cap space to get Montrezl on probably the contract he wants, and that's probably 20 or more a year. When I say 20 or more, I mean 20 million. So that could be an interesting side since the Hornets just got LaMelo Ball. They might look to trade Terry Rozier. A Terry Rozier sign and trade for Montrezl is actually a kind of interesting idea for both teams. So I'm predicting Montrezl to sign with Charlotte. Moving over to Denver here, I have Jerami Grant staying with the Nuggets. I know he opted out of his player option, and there were some reports that he could leave. I just didn't really find a team that I think could go after him. He probably wants more than $10 million a year. That's more than mid-level exceptions, tax-paying exceptions, biannual exceptions, so I don't think Jerami Grant's going to leave. Maybe he stays with Denver on a 1-and-1, like a one-year opt-out next year, but he signs for this year for maybe 12 or so million a year. Going to Brooklyn here, we have Joe Harris. I'm predicting him to stay with the Nets. I think he will get looked at by other teams due to him being one of the best shooting wings in the NBA. Saw a report that he could get like 16 to 18 million, which I don't know if that's an overpay, but that is a lot of money for Joe Harris. But the Nets, they have his bird rights. They're trying to win now next year. You need to bring back your best pure shooter. So I think they're going to go out of their way. They're going to give him what he wants, even if it's 18 million a year. I'm predicting him to re-sign with the Nets. We just talked about a Nuggets power forward, Jerami Grant. Let's talk about another one in Paul Millsap. I'm predicting him to stay in the Northwest Division, but joining the Portland Trail Blazers. There was a report the other day that the Blazers are interested in Paul Millsap. I think it would be on a very short deal, a 1 or 2 year contract, but he would improve their defense. He would improve their front court. And I actually think this would be a great move for both sides. Portland already made a splash this offseason by getting Robert Covington. Getting Paul Millsap to help out your defense would be absolutely huge for them. So here's a big one. Gordon Hayward. So about 2 hours ago at the deadline around 5 o'clock, he opted out of his $34 million player option for next year. So that could mean two things. He knows he has a longer offer on the table for a lot of guaranteed money. Say it's 4-year, 80 mil from another team. So he knows he's getting a guaranteed 80 mil that he could just sign that now and not have to worry about playing bad next year and losing out on money or getting hurt. Or he's opting out to re-sign with the Boston Celtics, which could be a totally viable option as well. I honestly didn't predict him that he was going to lead the Celtics, but here we are. I think it comes down to the Knicks or the Hawks that he could sign to outright, or a sign and trade with a team like the Indiana Pacers. I'm predicting that Gordon Hayward will sign with the Atlanta Hawks. I could see the Knicks, possibly the Celtics, and the Hawks getting into a bidding war over Gordon Hayward, and that's probably what he wants. So I'm predicting him to go to the Peach City in Atlanta. All right, we got 3 free agents left. The next one isn't as an exciting one. It is Brandon Ingram of the New Orleans Pelicans. I think that he could possibly sign with a different team, but the Pelicans are going to match whatever he signs with no matter what. I would be actually shocked if he doesn't just accept the Pelicans max offer outright and he looks to sign with another team and accepts another team's deal. So I'm pretty sure that he's just going to take the Pelicans offer right away and we won't hear much about it. Next one could be the biggest money switch, and I have Fred VanVleet signing with the New York Knicks. Yes, I think the Knicks will make a move with their $40 million in cap space in this offseason. I think the Raptors will also look to retain him, especially if they know that Giannis is staying with the Bucks and they realize, okay, we can't sign him in 2021. Let's bring back Fred VanVleet. But I think the Knicks might look to outbid him. They didn't draft a point guard with the 8th overall pick. Right now on roster, after letting Elfrid Payton walk, they have Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina, and whatever you classify Emmanuel Quickly as. So they kind of have a hole as that starting point guard that they would like to have in the Mecca at the Garden. And I think they're going to throw the Brinks truck and bring it up to Fred VanVleet, and he will be a Knick next season. And then finally, we have the biggest quote-unquote free agent, but he's not switching teams. AD did opt out of his player option. I could see him either signing with the Lakers on a 1+1 to get more service under his belt so he can sign a super max and just a bigger contract with the Lakers, or he's just going to flat out sign a max extension this offseason. But he is not leaving the Lakers. I don't know why people think he could go home to Chicago. No, he's re-signing with the Lakers. Come on, guys. Let's get real here. So yeah, that is going to be for me. I hope you guys enjoyed my 2020 free agency prediction video. It would be cool if we see like Gordon Hayward, Fred VanVleet, Montrezl Harrell, Gallinari switch teams. And who knows, we could still see a couple trades as well. Maybe Gordon Hayward gets traded to the Pacers for like Montrezl Harrell, or gets traded to the Hawks for Clint Capella. We still could see Russell Westbrook traded, Victor Oladipo traded, Buddy Hield. There's still a lot of possible scenarios that could make this offseason even more exciting, even though the season starts in about a month. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy the video. Subscribe if you are new. I love you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.